Sahana vavatu, sahano bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahe, tejasvina vaditamastu, ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Jema, in the last satsang, you heard from me that your happiness lies inside you, and the world can give you varied kinds of pleasures, but those pleasures are temporal, bound by time, and they are transitory, and they also are not independent. You are dependent on those pleasures, on the objects of the world, whether you have them or you've lost them, or the beings in this world and how they are treating you, wishing to engage with you or not, and life situations and the orchestration of objects and events in the Jagat, in this world. It might have been a relief to know that indeed those experiences of happiness that I achieved, even from the Jagat, were not really from those objects, but because of the presence of the self within me, which is pure happiness. And when I achieved something, in that act of gratification and fulfillment of desire, it is a mechanism. My mind, which had become a wave of desire fulfillment, calms down, and in that calming down process, the source of all happiness is revealed. And hence I touch my own self, that is all. Now that's very interesting. Even in a chocolate candy, you take a little bite and ordinarily you are chewing, and you're just experiencing something, and you are then moving on to the next project. And so when you ate a chocolate bar, you don't know. But if you've been craving a chocolate bar for a long time, and you might not have the resources to get it because you are away from the shop, or you don't have the money for it, or for any reason, or your Vaidya has said not to have chocolate and then finally says now you can. Well, then when you bite into that chocolate with all of your mind, and for that one moment you almost feel like closing your eyes in a meditative state, and there's some kind of a thrill all the way to your toe, as if everything is tasting that chocolate candy. That special happiness is more cognizably the one from the self. However, now I would like to clarify, there is no happiness apart from the self, because everything else is mithya, or it only has temporal, very relative reality. And fullness, which is equal to reality, which is equal to wholeness, which is equal to happiness, is only here. So when we are having this embodied experience on this loka, on this realm of play, of consciousness, interestingly, we are reality and unreality, or non-reality at the same time. There is reality dwelling within us as self, and then there is non-reality surrounding the self, as in the Panchakoshas or the three shariras, causal, subtle and gross. So, and then we are told that this Jagat too is that mithya. It is definitely a reflection of the original consciousness, but it is not the original consciousness. So all happiness, even when you are eating, drinking, anything, it is coming from the self. I'll make my point very simply, that when you are lying like a dead body and you are being fed something, that same chocolate, if the self is not in contact with this matter body, the matter body will not get up and say, thank you very much, I'll take another, and to go. There is no experience of happiness or pain without the self. The self is the substratum of happiness, and it is only experienced from within. We have understood this, hopefully. At least we have listened. At least we have tried to contemplate it. At least we have arrested flowing over and damaging our own self in the quest of happiness, and perhaps folded in and wondered, where is this happiness and why can't I feel it? Why can't I express it? It still feels like it's tied to everything outside me, my relations, the web of things that are happening. Then, Shunyaji, what are you saying to me? Yes, I am saying to you that you are happiness. And I am also telling you now that there are 3 blockages, as I had mentioned last time but not elaborated upon them. That there are 3 blockages due to the operation of Maya, Mithya, that you experience, dear student, and you participate with. And these blockages are occurring at the level of your Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara, at your intellectual, mental, egoistic level. And once I tell you about it, my recommendation is to begin a sadhana for purifying these obstacles. If we do not do that, if we just listen to this satsang and we get some temporary happiness, because this video and this virtual shunya is only a pleasure-giving 1-hour phenomena. And if I'm able to say something captivating enough, and your mind becomes quiet, that naughty one, then you will say, oh, I felt very happy listening to shunya. And you will attribute it all to me, this virtual shunya. And there you are, the source of all happiness. So if you are Kevala Ananda, pure Ananda, then you became unhappy because of 3 pratibandhas or 3 blockages. Pratibandha. We have already told you that you are bandha, you are bound, you are obliged to have these experiences. Why are you having an experience in this body and not your neighbor's body? Oh, you are bound to it by karma. You are bound in so many ways. And then in that bondage, you have 3 special knots operating at the level of your ego mind that I am going to make you aware of. And if you work on them, there is a possibility that the channel will open, the srota will open, which will be a special adhyatmic srota or a spiritual channel will open, and your jiva will experience unbound happiness of its eternal nature. And people will start feeling like you are this composed, relaxed, cheerful person who is meeting the ups and downs of life without irritable tantrums and fears and anxiety and paranoias. So let us investigate these obstacles. Please don't feel guilty that you have these obstacles in your life, because these obstacles are a part of your nature. They're part of the setup in Maya. And the purpose of Atmajnana is to give you, the purpose of the Atmajnana is to give you that specific knowledge that brings you closer and closer to your spiritual self. So there are three kinds of blockages that are at the level of the psycho being, or psyche. The first one is known as Mala. Mala means that which is unwanted. And the second one is Vikshepa, at the level of the mind, which means restlessness. So Mala is unwanted emotional states. Vikshepa is unnecessary restlessness. And the third and the subtlest blockage is called avaran, which is ignorance at a very causal level. So let us explore these three blockages that are preventing us from accessing the sweetness of our inner being. It's actually as real as anything else. But we say, what? Are you serious? Are you talking about it? I'm really something special. I'm Atman and I have lots and lots of sweetness to enjoy and distribute. What are you talking about? Well, it's due to these three blockages. We need not worry that these three blockages are unique to me. They are there in every human being. And just like there is a movement from inanimate matter to basic plants, which are conscious, animate. And then from plants, we go to animals, which are conscious. They have feelings, etc. They may not have emotions, but they definitely feel happy. They feel a little lonely. In the same way, so the basic feelings have begun to show in animals. And then from animals, we move to humans. And the consciousness has become unique. They have become self-conscious. So they can ask questions like, I am feeling happy. Why am I feeling happy? Why is this happiness doing this to me, or why not? So they are self-conscious. Who am I who is feeling this happiness? But now the journey, according to Vedanta, continues from human consciousness to transcendental divine consciousness. That's the next step of consciousness. From inanimate to animate, they all exist in this jagat. From plant to animal, from animal to human, and now from human to divine. This is where we are in Vedanta. Those of us in human bodies who are having extreme animal-like consciousness, which is somewhat self-possessed. Animals are not required to be generous. Animals do not have guilt around, I ate up all the dog food and didn't leave any for my friend. They were hungry, so they ate up both the bowls. If they were not hungry, they walk away. So they are amoral. They are not immoral. But at the human level, which is self-conscious, the question of morality begins. The question of happiness and quality of happiness begins. The question of whereforth this happiness dwells, how can it be touched, how can it be channeled, and how can it be used for personal benefit and social benefit and society's benefit emerge. These questions are not entertained or necessary in the animal kingdom or the plant kingdom. They are so much more innocent with the level of consciousness that has been allocated to them in that particular body by Bhagavana, which is the symbol of Brahman in this Jagat, regulating the whole universe with physical, psychological, and spiritual laws. This whole thing is very regulated. So for us human beings, it is a moral universe. In this moral universe, we are seeking happiness. We are avoiding unhappiness in this moral universe. And we are finding, and we have found from very early on, that our happiness from the first moment of birth depends upon a desire, its expression and fulfillment. As in, the child feels hungry, experiences a desire for food, expresses crying, mother comes with the milk. Hopefully, her own milk. We have learned this. We take it and we move with it, we run with it. But there are in our mind certain emotional states which are equal to mental impurities. They are not allowing the mind to fold in and check in and groove in with the self, which is nothing but sweetness. This malas are many, and we will study about them again and again in our Ayurveda, Manovignan or psychology classes here at Vedika. But just for the satsang, I would like to clarify that some of the important malas that are known in the science of Vedanta are, for example, raga and dvesha. The moment we start developing an attachment for something, some person or some situation to manifest, you can know that you can say goodbye to happiness, because excessive attachment is nothing but a mala, an unnecessary substance. It must be eliminated. In the physical level also, the waste matter, the fecal matter, the urine, etc. is called mala. It is worth taja. It should be eliminated. Health is in eliminating the mala. If the body for any reason cannot eliminate on a regular basis, it becomes fatally sick. If the kidneys do not urinate, a person dies. If there is constipation beyond a certain point, the whole body becomes poisoned. So mala is not to be kept in the body. But this Ayurveda Shastra has been clarifying very clearly. But it has also clarified, as has Yoga, as has Vedanta, that there are certain malas in the mind, and the moment they emerge within our consciousness, we have to eliminate them. The difference is that stool and urine will exert biological pressure to be eliminated. But an uninformed jiva may not know that this raga, dvesha, attachment and excessive aversion, excessive dislike of something, some situation, some object, these are all malas, and they need to be eliminated or said, no, I am not going there. I am not going to strengthen my attachment or my aversion. I am going to be in between, because every time there is attachment, aversion, my mind has morphed into becoming something that cannot connect with the sweetness of the source self. Along with raga dvesha, I can mention ishya, jealousy. Oh, when jealousy is in the mind, it should be quickly giving the medication of karma yoga. Lobha, greed, again karma yoga, cleans it up. What is karma yoga? For those of you who are watching this video and have not watched other videos on karma yoga, then do so. However, karma yoga is a special kind of attitude with which we dwell in the world and work in the world. In this attitude, we only stay focused on the Supreme Reality. And we work for the Supreme Reality. Any benefits we get from that work, as in accolades, appreciation, promotion, perks, fame, name, we think it is prasada or gift or some holy food or holy sweets that are coming from the Divine One. And we constantly engage with our own ego, and we constantly surrender it. So this Ragadvesha, this mala, along with 12 manovikaras, that come along, and you can make your own list. You can imagine what they include. Excessive grief. Some grief is okay, but holding the grief close to our chest, putting it like a badge and grieving. Shok. Excessive pride. Oh, I am from here and there and I know this much and I have that degree. To shut the mind and its channels to the sweetness of the self from within. Right. So all these experiences, judgment, they shut us off. We definitely are not sources of happiness for the world. But the crime we have committed is not to the world but to our own self. We have become abandoned and marooned and separated from the sweetness and the happiness that was just there. Revenge. Oh, I will take a revenge. I am burning in the fire of getting back tit for tat. Well, you can do that, but you will not experience happiness. So this raga dvesha is something we cannot completely remove, as I mentioned before, because it is anadi, it is always there, it's part of the human condition. But the sadhak's job is to not go this way and that way, and not constantly worry about this and that, and go to the teacher and say, I'm here now and I'm here now and what do I do? But gradually do their inner sadhana of just feeling what that place of balance feels like. And Pratipaksha Bhavana, as Patanjali has taught, that if there is excessive hate in us for someone, let us try to bring thoughts of humanness, kindness, sweetness, and find something that is worthwhile in them. And if we feel excessive love to the point of infatuation and blindness, then we should put a reality check on that, so that these opposites will allow us to be more in the center. And this is why the whole science of Vedanta, in fact the entire Vidyas from the Indian subcontinent are not talking on and on about love and human love, and they talk about bhakti, which is devotion, which comes from a very sacred ascended place of consciousness. So we will talk about that at some other time. If a lover can do bhakti of another level, it's a different thing. But that once we bring about bhakti, then there is no going back from that. There is no raga dvesha in bhakti. Bhakti is an unchanging movement of affection, service, and presence to the other, because you see Brahman, Atman in that. That bhakti ideal is what's called ideal love, when it never changes. Oh, you can only see it in movies. No. It is the living ideal of Vedanta. One of the ideals. But ordinary love, which escalates from extreme infatuation to extreme hatred, small little movements, big movements, crazy making movements, all of these, and jealousy, anger, hatred, grief, pride, these are all malas, and a sadhak must be aware of them. The teacher cannot go home with you and wake you up in the morning to greet the sun. The teacher cannot and will not and should not jump into your brain to arrest your every thought. You have to do it yourself, my dear. And as these malas come in, they don't even come in alone. They bring in their friends, they take location in your mind, and they build castles which are not real. And you can dwell in those castles alone, but you are severed from the sweetness in your heart that awaits you. The second kind, this is a very gross level mala. Everybody here in this room has experienced it. And every time you have done the kshaya of that moha, of that attachment, you've had a moksha moment there, you've had a freedom moment there. When you consciously decided to let go of revenge, or what am I doing getting so attached that I'm becoming a slave? Why am I hating this person and burning my skin and my inflammation in my body? Why am I doing that? You've become free. And in that freedom, you've become happy. And if you remain free for a long time, and if you caught them when they were just starting, and then if you maintained a garden that this mala was not allowed, only flowers of lava and virtues were allowed, you will all the time experience a unique kind of happiness which is not being described by this world, because it is Atman, it is real, and it's amazing. And the job of cleaning this gross mala is our job. Each one's job in their own insights. The second kind of mala is more subtle. It is called Vikshepa. Something that has been noticed by all human consciousness and human minds is an innate restlessness, a jumping from question to question, a jumping from thought to thought, scheming, planning, counter-scheming, counter-planning, counter-thinking, counter-analysis, analysis, counter-analysis. So this inability to sit still. When you are little children, we are constantly moving, and the mother says, this person is a monkey, and we are restrained by the schooling system and by elders to sit still and be poised and to be still physically. But we may be still physically, but it's a deceptive stillness, because the mind is restless. It's its basic nature. And that is how Maya operates. Through malas, it blocks you from your reality. It's one level. So you're caught up in an emotion of rage and jealousy, and okay, let's just see you 10 lifetimes later. And then once we calm that down, there is still at another level a restlessness. This restlessness is in many of you right now in the satsanga. Oh, come to the point. Why are you taking so long? Oh, this is so heavy for me to listen to you week after week. I listen because I have raga to you, attachment to you. But it would be nice if you could step it up. Maybe create a shorter video with just clips and bullet points. In today's world. Restlessness. And this restlessness drives us crazy. We can't talk about it after a while to anyone. Some of us try to work very hard to somehow channel it. But even in that work, it just creates some kind of anxiety, and so we experience it as anxiety. So many of us have everything going for us, but we're anxious. It's that restlessness. So this restlessness now has to be trained. And this restlessness has to be trained in a very shastric way. One way is to give it some kind of upasana, some kind of work of the body, like puja, like worship in front of the altar, where you sit and you are doing long, elaborate pujas, rituals, as mentioned in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. Some of you who have visited some of our yajnas may have mentioned all nice, but 2 hours too long. But the people who do these kind of pujas for hours and hours and hours are not only doing a puja, but they are training their mind to become patient with their body. They are pouring milk, they are pouring flowers, they are pouring ghee, then they are pouring a steak, then they are giving something else, and then when you think it's about to end, they again start pouring milk, and then the ghee, and then it starts again. Another round of puja. On and on and on. We can do it in our homes too. Light lamps, put flowers, give kumkum haldi, akshitam. And we do some kind of upasanas, rituals. Those start bringing about some kind of change to the restless mind. That is using your kaya or your body. Then you can also counteract Vikshepa quality or restless quality through your vak, through your speech. How? By mantra japa, 108 times, 5 cycles of 108, 10 cycles of 108. Gayatri mantras, for example. So these japa or singing hymns or bhajans, all flowing towards the Supreme Reality. So constantly the mind is given a task. Who is giving the task? Your higher self. To who? Your ego, your adaptive self, your impatient, restless self. That's another way to do it. And finally, you can give the mind, the direct mind, an activity. And it is to meditate, dhyanam, on the Supreme Reality. Atman, Brahman, or Bhagwan, or Ishvara, as we want. We can see the Supreme Reality as a person with a face, with some clothing, as in Vishnu, Shiva, Ganesha. Or we can see the Supreme Reality as the indwelling Atman, or the Supreme Reality as the Brahman, which is incomprehensible, but we can just start going there. There is a Supreme Reality. It is as real. It is the realest thing only. Everything else is not. It is. And so we constantly move the mind, not in its lowly thinking of, he did that, she did that, I want that, he's not right, he's correct, this is right, that is wrong. But all of that is there, and I'll put my 1 hour to deal with that. But for the remaining time, I'm constantly doing dhyana. For this we need the Jnana Kand of the Vedas, which is known as Upanishads. We are given Tattva Jnana or knowledge, as we gave you, or I provided for you in the Intro to Vedanta series. And now you are beginning to apply that knowledge in your daily living. So, what are you doing about your mind? All this restlessness, medicating it with some more pills? Oh no, you became natural, yeah? With Ayurveda, so now you want Jatamansi and Brahmi. You're restless to get your appointment and your prescription. You're restless for the results. You are restless for some rest. And that rest dwells within you. So tame the restlessness. It is a natural condition born in this limited mind, this limited expression of the unlimited. It happened to you, but you are still the unlimited reality. Bring about some change. Close your eyes. Sit down and meditate on that Supreme Reality in whichever way you want. Vedanta gives you many, many choices, unlimited. The most unlimited religion is Vedanta. Here is God everywhere. You can look at a tree outside your window and start meditating on that as a chinna or symbol of the Absolute Reality, Supreme One. You shall be able to purify one more obstacle. So in the way, Upasana is like a mental activity, whether through puja, whether through bhajan, whether through hymns, whether through chanting mantras, or whether through meditation. But this is the way the mind's restlessness can be calmed down. Sometimes people start meditating right away without, looking at malas of anger, attachments, aversions, greed. It doesn't go very far. It becomes a very mechanical process, and you need a group to help you do that, and you need sounds to make you go in and out, and it becomes all about the vacuum and the blank and all those other new concepts that have taken upasana, dhyana, which is really an upasana from the Vedantic tradition, into this very secular, spiritless, soulless, answer for every ill, but it really changes the deep-rooted character of the person. And the person may, because of quietening down of the senses and sitting still, there are some benefits, there's some rejuvenation that happens. Vata dosha becomes balanced, so these people get up and they tell the teacher, thank you so much, you saved my life. But then, 10 miles down the road, they still have those same miseries and the unhappiness comes back. In fact, that particular meditation class becomes the drug for happiness. And I am unhappy because I couldn't make my Wednesday class. I'm unhappy because my teacher doesn't like me anymore. I'm unhappy, blah, blah, blah. So if you were meditating to connect your inner happiness, what happened? The reason is that meditation in a vacuum, without the knowledge from the Shastra, is nothing but a drill. Unless and until the Mala has been purified, and unless and until then the restless mind will reveal itself. I'm not really jealous. I'm not really attached or hateful or grieving. I'm just restless. And I just pick up these random emotions and get wrapped up in them just because I'm a rolling football. And I'm going to bring this rolling football because I am one with the Supreme One and I have choices. And I'm going to slowly put this restless mind into some kind of sadhana. Finally, when the mind has become quiet and still deeply inside, we come face to face with avaran, or the sheer covering. In the darkness, if you want your cup of water, but the room is completely dark and you are thirsty, water is next to you but you won't find it because you can't see. Your eyes have become useless. In the same way, all your faculties are useless. You have to go to a satsang and be reminded that actually you are happiness. Oh, this is terrible. Why did I forget? Well, one, good news. Due to good karma, due to good punya, you are being reminded again. You are being shown a way. Keep it up. Number two, now we're talking. Now you've come face to face with something called Maya at the deepest causal level. You don't have to create knowledge there. You don't have to fill it up with anything. This satsang will become an uneventful memory. Because through jnana, through knowledge, slowly and slowly, this avaran will become lighter and lighter. It will become less dense and more self and its knowledge will become available to you. You will no longer say, what is the self? You will experience yourself. And this avaran can go away only by long-term study with somebody who can give you exact concepts. So sitting in your meditation, facing the darkness, closing your eyes, taking a breath a certain way can take you so far. It definitely brings the body and mind into some state of calmness, but not beyond that. It's good for start. At least it's almost like in the beginning of allowing the body to be still for a little bit. But once we have tattva jnana, once we have knowledge, adhyatma jnana, and where do we get it? We don't get it merely by putting a pot of rice under the sun and hoping it will get cooked. The water will evaporate, the rice will disintegrate over a period of time and look different. Age. We will have to chop the wood, make a fire, get a pot, put the water, measure it out, put it there and cook it for a certain time, cover the lid, then we will be able to enjoy a well-cooked rice. In the same way, in the Vedantic tradition, the need for a teacher. A teacher with the knowledge of you. The knowledge that goes beyond every box and every domain. That reminds you and is compassionate enough to remind you of your forgetfulness. That is why the word Upanishad. Upa means near the Guru, teacher. Ni represents Nischyatmak Jnana, very clear knowledge. Not the ordinary knowledge of, but well, can I do this and then should I do that and maybe that's the right path. And some people use the teacher for that. Should I go this way, should I go that way, should I do this job? This is Nischyatmak Jnana of yourself. Once you have that more and more, other questions will come down. And how does it come? It comes through Shravanam, listening for a long time without asking questions. Why? Because the small questions represent the smallness of the consciousness at that time. After long-term hearing and receiving many answers, then contemplation is necessary, and only after contemplations questions are asked, after digestion. After digestion, first listen, contemplate, digest, then ask questions, and then practicing. How do you practice? You actually practice japa, mantra, meditation, and all these things that I'm mentioning. You don't just hear it until the next time. You actually do it. That is called practicing. Through this, your knowledge becomes really pure and permanent. And it becomes so clear that all words are unimportant. And Shad, the final word in Upanishad, is alluring to the destruction of samsara, the destruction of the seduction of pleasures and then getting pain from it. But a new paradigm is created where one is still a jiva, still in his body, but one is jivan muktaha, one is free. And one is totally free to operate from this happiness, to experience it, and then at some point to share it. And this unique paradigm is made available only by the knowledge of Vedanta and the basic separation from pure happiness, Atmananda, to the ephemeral and contrived happiness, which is Vishayananda, object-based Ananda. And we have to, after this satsang, begin to remember this and begin to practice it. Begin to remember it, contemplate it, and then practice it. And catch ourselves from flowing over and walking the roads we need not walk in the quest of happiness, because we shall know that that happiness does not lie beyond that door, in that person's heart, but in myself. And from this safe space, I can now play. I can do what I want, because after mindfulness, I can do many things I want, but I am always home here where my happiness lies. So to summarize, the three blockages are the grossest level, which is Mala. Mala is of negative emotions. Just remember that. Anything negative, whether it is Shastra or not, you'll know it. You'll feel miserable. It will hijack you. Hijack you. These are negative emotions. Even doubt is kind of a negative emotion. Because if you have experienced doubt right now, you've already switched off from listening to the teacher. Now your mind has switched off even from the outer source of help. Forget the inner, which is always helpful. This is Mala. The second, which is less gross but more subtle, is the inner restlessness. And we realize that it is because of inner restlessness that I was having negative emotions. So you start learning to literally discipline the mind like we discipline a new puppy. And once the mind has become calm, truly speaking, that is the time when Shishya is born. That is the time when the Guru-Shishya dialogue has any meaning. That is the time when the teacher gives Tattva Jnana and Shishya receives it and transforms instantaneously. And the reason for that is that Mala and Vikshepa are no longer blocking the avaran that is slowly washing away with the knowledge. And just what is not needed is washed away, and what always was there, Satchit Ananda, the abode of all joy, all happiness, amazing, infinite, untold bliss is revealed. One in the beginning experiences fractions of it, then more of it, and then finally all of it. The invitation is to be truly questioning how I can be happy. Then I have to take ownership of my own negative emotions, no matter how legitimate I feel that they should be in me. But ultimately I am holding them. I have given birth to them as a reaction due to raga dvesha that itself have already taken me far away from where I should be. And I alone can bring peace to them. I alone can deeply become restful and quiet, including to my mind, not just my body, which is just the beginning. And then I can take responsibility for my inner restlessness. And finally, I take responsibility of the ignorance because of which I am a jiva. And I begin to see my teacher as an important method, a process, an instrument for removing this darkness. And I pledge to this teacher my patient and sincere shravanam, listening alone, mananam, contemplation, and nididhyasanam, practice, so that slowly and slowly my whole being becomes refined, golden, quiet, and saturated with happiness. I don't even have to talk, and people will feel attracted to me and want to be with me because I'm a happy being.